Well, hello, this is Jared Polak, founder of Entree Results, also author of Entree Balance. Here, ready, excited, encouraged for another incredible podcast episode. What we're going to look at today is going to be really quick. We are going to look at one method, one mini process on how to overcome sales objections. Now, we worked on this before in a previous podcast. I know I have created blog articles about another form. The other form that we talked about in the past was the acronym RACC, which stands for restate, A stands for answer, C stands for check, and the other C stands for continue. That was one method we talked about, and you can go to the other podcast to learn more about that or some of my blog articles. However, we're going to look at something different today. This is a form or a formula that is much more common. Many people have heard of this formula before, and so I just want to preface that as we go through this, you have to be very careful not to follow this in a cheesy way because it can come off cheesy because many people have heard of this before. And so really, you have to become very skilled at what I'm going to share with you. It's not something that's going to happen right off the bat, but here we go. The model to overcoming sales objections is something called feel, felt, found. Feel, felt, found. Now here's how it works. One common objection that people may have is the investment, or they might call it the price, or the money is too much or too high. The initial cost is too much, however they word it. That is a common objection in sales. And as you're going through the normal selling process, which the selling process that I coach on is the BASS selling process. As you're going through this process, people may have objections as you are going through this process. And so here's how you can answer it with feel, felt, found. First thing you want to do if they come up with an objection, and the one we're going to use is the price, is you want to restate the benefits or the things that you're in agreement with, and then you want to clarify what the objection really is. And so you might say something like, just so I can hear you or just so I can understand, you really like the product and what it can do for you, what it can do for your life, the benefits, but your one area of concern is you just feel like the initial investment is just a little bit too much for your budget right now. Is that correct? So that's the feel part of it. You're restating the benefits because you don't want to just always hyper-focus on the objection. You want to restate some of the other things that are working well, and then make sure you understand what they're saying, because what happens is oftentimes people believe or think they hear the objection, or they basically overcome an objection that's not true, and that's why we're putting the feel or restating. The second part is the felt. And that's where you need to use an example of either yourself, if you felt that way before, or another client that you've worked with that has felt the same way. So it might be like there's actually a new client that I met 4 weeks ago that felt the exact same way you did in terms of wanting it, loving it, seeing how it could help their life, but the initial investment was just a little bit tight for them in that moment. So I know someone else that felt that way. You want to make sure people feel comfortable sharing the objections with you, because the only way you can basically help answer or have a good response for their objections is if you truly understand what they are. So another client felt that way, and now the final part is found. What they found, or what they discovered, what they realized is that if we broke that payment up into 3 monthly payments or 3 monthly investments, 3 monthly installments, then they were able to, it worked with their budget, and yet they'd still benefit from the product or service. So that's what they found is, would that work for you? And so you say what someone else found, And then at the very end, just kind of make sure that they're tracking with you and that works for them. That's it. That's the feel, felt, found. It takes a lot of practice to do it in a non-cheesy way that it just flows. I wanted to give you the rough, raw version of it. But this is a really cool communication model because it's not just for sales. It also works if you have a customer service issue. This is great for if someone has a concern or a complaint that's one of your customers. This is also another way to kind of work through that complaint in a very professional way. Or, to be honest with you, if in personal life, this works a lot with any type of conflict. If you're working through conflict, you can use the feel, felt, found method. And this is why I think this method can be very valuable, not only for sales, but also for life. In close, I think the action step that I want to encourage you to consider would be focus on that first one, the feel part, restating basically the objection that someone has, kind of recapping the benefits, and maybe in the next week or two, work really on that before you move to the next two, just so you can feel comfortable with that. Awesome. Make it happen. Have fun. Good talking to you guys today. Glad we had a chance to kind of go over one of the most important parts of selling, which is overcoming objections.